Hello and welcome to the Star Citizen News. We've got the new 3.15.0 PTU patches, we'll talk about them. We've had a date for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, the big ship sale, and one of the largest Star Citizen events of the year, and a dev response about networking woes that Lumberyard-based New World has had. People were worried that Star Citizen would have the same problems, and obviously Star Citizen's netcode and problems with servers and things aren't great either. The Intergalactic Aerospace Expo 2951 is confirmed to be starting on the 19th of November and running until the 1st of December, with ship sales and expo. Star Citizen's going to be free to play during that period too. The main event is at the Tobin Convention Center this year at New Babbage on Microtech. In addition to the Redeemer and the Ares, you can also expect 3 new ships and vehicles to be coming out as well. Ooh, it's Halloween, have a spooky sound. Star Citizen Alpha 3.15 is out on the Open PTU as well. It's had a couple of updates in the last few days with a P and a Q patch, which I'll very briefly summarize here. They've made further improvements to the inventory, including making sure that items were of the appropriate size and SCU. The medical mechanics also saw updates allowing the placement of players into beds more easily and tweaking of the medical gun, making that a lot better. They made multiple fixes to help Quantum Drive engage more consistently. This should actually help greatly with issues related to aligning and spooling. You shouldn't quantum travel directly into some of the restricted areas anymore, and you will come out close to them if it's an area that could be a restricted area. They largely fixed the unresponsive and teleporting FPS NPCs. Spawn closets in underground facility missions will now randomize which closets spawn friendly and hostile AI, and they can't spawn the opposite factions AI or NPCs anymore. So you shouldn't get NPCs getting stuck in the sort of wardrobes and elevators and that sort of stuff. More to that, the 3.15.0 Q PTU patch also then increased distances at which FPS AI will fire upon players, so they're not like genome soldiers from Metal Gear anymore, and they will actually see you and shoot at you. We also have some hit prediction performance improvements to help with both ship AI and FPS NPCs, I believe. Between the patches, they did fix dozens of major bugs, including fixes for those NPCs and those underground bunker missions. There are still some known issues that Cloud Imperium are trying to work through before they get to a live build, but it looks like they're going to do that, and it should be a pretty good patch 3.15. Like, quite genuinely, it's very playable, performance is pretty good, stability is pretty good, or at least we know it can be. That obviously when they make changes during the PTU, sometimes it causes instability and then they have to fix it or roll it back during the next patch, so we're going to have to wait and see what's going on with that, but it's looking pretty good. This week's sneak peek appears to be some form of rather large, probably ship-based laser at Cousin Crow's custom craft as well. Not sure if that's going to be used for cutting or if it's for mining or what. Pew! Laser, that's a laser sound. There was a Reddit thread as well. With New World and its Lumberyard woes, can Cloud Imperium games shed some light on how they are avoiding some of the engine's issues? So, obviously, Lumberyard, that's the engine that Star Citizen is sort of built on. Originally, Star Citizen was built on CryEngine, sort of migrated and evolved into its own StarEngine, and then they migrated that stuff over to Lumberyard, but Star Citizen is very much its own beast engine-wise, but rooted in Lumberyard engine. But I suppose also it's probably going to have a bit of the older Crytek code in now, because Cloud Imperium, as part of their lawsuit with Crytek, they got a perpetual license for CryEngine, so they might be using CryEngine and Lumberyard and basically calling this StarEngine when it's plopped all together. It's very modular, their engine. You can tell that I'm not great at building game engines myself. The original poster, let me read you what they said. I was reading the recent Twitter post from an ex-Amazon game dev about just how bad CryEngine and Lumberyard have been to work with. I'm curious if any lurking CIG devs might be able to answer or even relay the question to be answered by one of your dev team. It seems like a lot of issues that New World is having stem from client-side resolution, which, as the tweet mentions, is crazy to see in 2021 for an online game. I'm curious now to see how this may have affected Star Citizen's development cycle, and I'm also curious to know if Cloud Imperium saw the issues in the engine described as a dumpster fire in the tweet and fixed a lot of them or plan to do so. Basically, the dev explains in that Twitter feed that there were 2 engines built on top of each other competing. CryEngine was terrible to work with code-wise, and they had to make do with a poor solution that gave client authoritative bugs, and issues for their networking. Obviously, with any form of online game, almost always, you're going to want server authoritative networking so that it goes, you know what, you can't hack, you can't do weird stuff, there's not weird prediction bugs, there's not weird preferential treatment for laggy clients, because, well, if a client's lagging, you don't want their data to be the sort of data that they use to say where have they shot, where have they been shot, because it's going to be very different on a client's PC that's not laggy that they're fighting against. Or in some cases, you could overwrite data and say, actually, I hit all of my shots and this guy's dead. The original poster goes on to say, I don't want to be alarmist about the New World issues, but having CIG explain some of the stuff they've done to curb the engine issues would probably reassure many backers who are now also dealing with New World. Not everyone is a programmer, so shedding a bit of light on this would be pretty cool. Cloud Imperium's ever-faithful Chad McKinney responded, we have long replaced the components of both the network layer and game code implementations that have these legacy problems. I haven't kept up entirely with their development, but from reading the Twitter thread, this seems more like they were dealing with co-developing the game while iterating on the engine. I get it, we have the same problems, which led to slower than ideal progress and trade-offs to quality and delivery. That said, the big news I read about with the issues around New World's limitations in shard size, etc., I would imagine are not related to those particular client authoritative issues, and from what I can surmise, given the game are more likely a reality of scalability of their service and persistent architecture, much of which they must have written themselves, as CryEngine does not give you a solution for those kind of problems. But if they are having some networking bugs with state replication or hacking, then the thread's concerns I can definitely see contributing to those kind of problems, or otherwise just constraining resources from polishing elsewhere. A little later, Chad also adds, okay, just saw from the Twitter sphere all of the recent networking related bugs with New World, and yes, that Twitter thread makes sense as to why they were having these issues. As I mentioned though, this is not a concern for Star Citizen. I made a video on Star Citizen moving over to being server authoritative for a load of its features but that were sensible to move over to back in February 2019. Actually, I'll find the link and I'll put it down below. CryEngine and Lumberyard Engine, they do not cater for all of the things that Star Citizen wants to do. So they've had to build their own modules. They didn't cater for all the things the New World needed to do, so they had to build their own modules and parts for that. New World and Star Citizen, although do share common roots with CryEngine and Lumberyard, they are very different beasts and very different games. And an extremely different development. I think some players are concerned that obviously New World has restrictions of 2,000 players per server. Well, if Star Citizen had restrictions like that and then they were able to mesh the servers together, that would be fine. 2,000 as a restriction would be fine with server meshing, because then you could have the giant server all meshed together, and that's perfect for a limit. I think the worry is that at some point Star Citizen will have a poor network code and also only be able to have 50 players per server, which means you wouldn't be able to have more than 50 players in like a room together, which wouldn't be ideal in a game where there are giant meeting rooms and huge ships where you can have potentially hundreds of players on at once. Anyway, I have rambled enough. There was supposed to be news, and it's gone into some sort of networking rant. But what are your thoughts? Are you looking forward to the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo? Are you going to be trying to pick up a limited hull ship like an Idris or a Javelin? Are you looking forward to the new stuff they've got there? Are you wanting to fly around in your Redeemer or your Ares? Do you expect the 3.15.1 patch to come out at the same time with those ships like I do? If you want to know more about the other new ships that were sort of rumoured or leaked, then please check out my video on that, my spoilers video, talking about that. But otherwise, I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. You should definitely check out nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. There are absolutely limitless amount of unproven health benefits that I could make up about that product now, but you probably want it because of its security and privacy benefits. Or maybe the ability to appear to be in a different country so you can tell your friends that you're on holiday, or, I don't know, view Netflix from somewhere else. You'll like Nord so much you'll probably buy it for all of your friends and family for Christmas. Just an idea. Links are also below. Something much more random that you might be interested in is that one of my friends is involved with a Vampire Masquerade roleplay Kickstarter, which is currently on until the 5th of November. War of Ages helps introduce Nordic LARP to players that haven't done that before, but also sort of bridges tabletop LARP and Mind's Eye Theatre all together. Check that out if you're into roleplay or vampire, or you want to get some sort of roleplay, vampire universe aspect-y thing going on. What ship are we giving away in October? It is one of the most exciting ships we've given away, and one of the most popular. It's the Argo Cargo. So many people liked it, we thought we'd give one away, instead of a Mercury Star Runner, or a Carrack, or something else. You can do fun things, like fly around a planet, or fly very slowly into the sun. And it also makes my top 16 ships that I liked in the Ship Showdown this year. What else could you possibly want other than that ship? Well, I'm also giving away a 100i with a Star Citizen Game Package 2, given to another random commenter selected in the same way. If you'd like to further support the channel, you can join a load of other people that already do, by clicking the YouTube join button underneath one of my videos, or via Patreon. It goes a long way to help feed mine and Zin's ship habit. We buy lots of spaceships, well, at least I do. She gets paid a real human wage, like a real human. Thanks for watching, please take care, and I'll see you in the verse.